guys, what are we going to do today? Today I'm going to show off a new stamp that I just got, and I'm going to have a link to where I got it. But the concepts that we're going to use on this, you could use with any stamp. It is this cage doll stamp. It comes with other accessories that I will show you. And we are going to do a fun stamped image, and I'm going to show you how to layer transfers through her, and I even watercolored her. But I also took the same stamp and I used my metal embossing technique, which I have a video on. I did the same thing. I also pressed her into clay, which I have shown on other videos also, and a new video that we'll be doing on jelly prints. So let's get started. So the first thing you're gonna do with this stamp, I was just going to show you, it is gonna come as just red rubber, and you are going to need to mount it onto something. So I have a few pieces here I have mounted yet, like here's one of the hands. So what I'm gonna do is just put some heavy duty double stick tape on the back. You could use a heavy duty glue and glue it onto a wood mount. This was just easier for me. And you can cut real close, or you can just make it so that at least you have something to hold on to when you do this, whichever way you would like. These keys I've already put onto this piece, and I'll probably cut the rubber closer if I use. So you can cut your rubber first and then mount it on something if you want something to be able to grip onto, like this. Or you can mount it and then just cut it very, very close. But you just don't have as much room to work with. But you do want to cut close to your edges, not cutting through your edges, because if you have too much of an overlap, if you get ink on that and you press down, you're going to see this edge. So you're going to get 2 upper arms, 2 lower arms, and 2 hands. I found that these worked just fine for both, but you could use whatever you would like in here. This will be in between here, so you will need to cut these out. So I'm using my DIY paint, and I am just gonna paint a light background on this paper before I even get started. Use some water to water this down, and so this will be my beginning background. Okay, we'll just let this dry. My paper is dry. I usually say just use whatever you have, and you still can. This is the one time I can tell you, I really love using DIY paint. It's a clay-based paint, so it really is different than chalk-based paints and other paints. And on paper, it's probably my favorite thing to use. So on her, when I was doing jelly prints and other big pieces, it was nice to stamp her all as one piece. But on this, to take her body off and just stamp the bottom of this. If you didn't mount it onto something, it was very wobbly. I'm gonna use my brayer for this part. And you're gonna see she is about as long as this 11-inch sheet of paper. And then I'm gonna stamp the bottom of her close to where these are. And you may have to try it on some scrap paper first to see where it exactly lines up there. Now you have your 3 other bars here that are gonna go in between. I try to put the biggest part down at the bottom of the base, and you kind of just have to line up from the top to the bottom. Then I'm going to do the top of the arms, and there are 2 tops of arms. I just don't mind using the same one for both, but they do look a little different, so you should do whatever you would like and then decide how you want her. If you were doing her as a paper doll, you could cut out all the pieces, and where she has the little holes, you could put your brads in to make her movable. So with the hands, I made sure the thumbs were closest to the body. So at this point, if you wanted to, you could add some of the extra accessories like the crowns or the keys or any of the other pieces, but I am just gonna go with this part for now. Okay, so now I'm just gonna use my watercolors, and I'm just gonna go over her skin a little bit. And of course, I have to have a tiny bit of blush. And I did the cage a little darker. I was trying to think of like a rusted metal. And remember, we have that pink underneath. Okay, let's get to transferring. Okay, so I'm gonna start with the focal point. And you could start with smaller branches, bigger branches, anywhere you would like. I'd like to start with the focal point that I know that's gonna come through here, and I'm gonna piece around her hand so it looks like she is holding it. So I'm gonna carefully hover this over to see where I want this. I want this coming through her hand, so I am gonna cut it right here. And you want to be careful when you're doing this so you don't grab your transfer. And I'm going to lay that excess piece back on the backing. Line this up right here. So some of it's coming over and some of it's going under. Then this piece is going to come out the back side, and I'm going to start with that. Now this is where you get to be creative, have fun. So I'm going to try some more pieces in here and come up through her arm. So it looks like it's coming from behind. So I'm cutting pieces out and laying them up so I can do a above and behind her, so it looks like it's flowing behind her, in front of her, going around. So I'm just used a Sharpie, marked, put this back here so it looks like it's draping around her. Okay, let's finish this up. I'm going to use a brown ink and use my crackle stamp and just add a little bit of background texture to this. I could have used gray or black, but I was kind of trying to stay in warmer colors. Okay, now I'm going to do a little distressing, and I am just using a distress oxide. And one thing I like about this is I can go over this and then activate it with a little bit of water. After I put it on there, I'm just going to lightly wet it. Okay, I'm just going to let this dry, and then we're going to seal it. Since I've already distressed it, I'm just going to use some clear wax on this. The one thing nice with this is the DIY paint will get much more vibrant when I put a sealer on it. And you can use any clear sealer you would like. So I'm just gonna let this set for a few minutes. And yes, I am gonna use another sealer over the top of this. I know they usually say don't put a sealer over wax. I do, I still do. This is not gonna be a piece of furniture. This is more of a piece of art that I'd frame or put on a book. What I'm really wanting to do is making sure that the transfers are sealed down well. And so I'm just using a polyacrylic sealer, and I really wanted this to be a little glossier. And we are done. I hope you like this girl stamp that I am showing you. In the beginning, we showed you a bunch of other projects we did, but I'm really trying to show you in this is how to layer your watercolor, your other paints, some stamps, and your transfers. So I hope you guys give this a try, but whatever you do, have fun.